I get what they were going for. That was Robin and Giselle's whole thing. Because Robin and Giselle, they don't like anyone to act like they have something big. Or we saw how they treated Wendy when she tried to come out with a candle line.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and I think that this is an important discussion, like in general for us to have on the pod, is many of these women have the same opportunities, and some of them are much more successful at capitalizing on that. And as time goes and housewives see more housewives from other cities succeed. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers?
Hey, cocktailers. How's it going this week?
It's going good for me. It's been a busy week. Thanksgiving.
I had stuffing for breakfast today. Today is the day after Thanksgiving. It's Black Friday.
I had salami bread. I'm very proud of that. Not.
Salami bread. I need to know what that is. That sounds delicious. Whatever it is.
I have to send you my recipe. It's my mom's
Please
recipe.
do.
It's the best.
Yum. So also this week, so Thanksgiving, obviously huge, but we also launched the membership site this week, and shout out you guys to the cocktailers. It was a labor of love to create, and we are just so excited to see it grow and to start really building that community that, you know, we keep hearing from cocktailers saying that they want. So, you know, we're here and we're doing it, and just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined so far or is intending to join.
And it's funny, cocktailers, because like Amanda and I, before we hopped on here, were just talking about, so we had this vision of what it would be before it went live. And now that it's live, we're realizing how many ways we can communicate. And what I'm personally going to be working on this weekend is, you know, doing that. And just when I get an email, hopping on and reading the email and sharing my thoughts. And if Amanda can be with me, she will. If she can't, she won't. It'll just be me, or it'll just be her. And like just that sense of community where we're getting the information. And I think that's the most important piece of our cocktailer community is, you know, we have to wait for the editors to get stuff back to us. And now with our own platform, we don't. And we're going to upload podcasts immediately. We're going to upload tea immediately, whether it's a post or whether it's me hopping on and being like, oh my God, J-Lo just dropped her album and we had an email 24 hours prior, Amanda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
our cocktail party members knew about that early because that was the only place we could post that.
Right. So this is the perfect like situation where you have Jennifer Lopez. She's, you know, a superstar. You get this information and you're a little nervous, but I had a very closely placed source give me the explicit details of the album that was dropping, and I was like, this is the perfect content to put on Cocktail Party. I knew it was going to be true because of who the source was, to be honest, but you know, there's still that question in your mind. And so then when it was, you guys already knew. So it was very cool. And obviously by now we all know she scrubbed her Instagram, so immediately followers are like, what is this? Did she break up with Ben? Is this because of Balenciaga? Which, yes, we're going to talk about that later in the pod, that atrocious situation. What is this? And so immediately I posted, and I got some intel that they heard she was dropping music, but nothing really too specific. And then the day before she dropped, I posted that she was dropping not just a single, but her album. And it's This Is Me Now, which is a recreation of her This Is Me Then. So it's the 20-year anniversary. And that album was dedicated to Ben. And I assume this one is too. She actually really cool. She worked with some of Beyonce's songwriters and Jack Harlow's producer, Rajay. This person, who's, you know, a close source, says it's got some really good bops. And it makes sense. We remember how annoyed she was when her performance was leaked from her wedding. And that's because it was a song from the album. So everything was adding up with that. So, yes, that was very cool.
I love it. I'm going to put it on today as I'm finishing putting Thanksgiving away and then like decorating for Christmas. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. Or maybe at the gym that I keep threatening to go and do.
Well, meantime, my husband is like, I'm going to start taking the boxes down. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in the closet and the attic's above my head. So you should have done this while I wasn't home.
Yes, you can wait.
I can't.
The cocktailers can't.
That's right. You guys take priority over my tree. I hope you know that, okay?
I love it.
Amanda, do you do real or fake tree?
So we actually have done both. When our kids were really, really little, we opted for fake for a couple of years just because I had such anxiety about our kids eating pine needles. And now we've gone back to real, and we usually go as like tall as we can find. What do you do?
Oh, so my whole entire life I grew up with real. And my husband grew up with a mix. Like some years they would do real, some years they had a fake that they used. When we got married, we always did real. And a couple years ago, and to be fair, we go pick it out together, but he does obviously all the work as far as bringing it in, setting it up. And we go to Florida the week after Christmas. So it's always that dilemma. We have a flight first thing on the 26th, and then we worry that our house is going to burn down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we have a tree. So we have to have like a friend or a neighbor come water it and almost dead. So long story short, a couple years ago, we got a really good deal on a Balsam Hill, those beautiful ones.
Those are gorgeous.
But like, I miss it. And so we still like we'll pick out like a fresh wreath or whatever. And I don't know, we keep saying, will this be the year? But again, we're leaving first day this year. So I think we're just doing our fake, which looks really good, but I know it's fake. And I always liked a real tree.
Yeah.
So we'll pull that, guys. We'll pull that. What do you do, real or fake, and why?
Yeah, and I get it. Like that worry about the tree drying up like that. That's a real concern. I don't know. I feel like you can also though just if you're going to be gone for a long time, just make sure the lights aren't on. Just turn on, completely unplug them from the wall, right. And maybe that would make you feel less worried. But I don't know, there is that smell, and we always do like greenery on our mantle and do some fresh wreaths as well because that smell is so nice. But that day that you have to take them down and like the needles everywhere,
and it'll be like February, and somehow, even though I vacuum frequently, I'm still vacuuming up needles.
I know.
When we first got married, we lived in a condo, and it was a second floor, so we had like stairs. I swear to you, we were finding needles in July. And my husband would just be like, this is ridiculous. You have to have a real tree. Look what we're dealing with. I'm like, I don't care.
I know. I saw on like Shark Tank or something. It was this invention, this Christmas tree thing. And it was like, I don't even remember how to explain it. But like you pretty much just like popped it open, like, and could even keep your ornaments and everything on it. I was like, that's what I need, because it's always, yes, my husband ends up bringing it in, and then but then like I do all the lights, I do all the ornaments. I kind of thought that like by the time our kids were older that the kids would help, but no, they do like 3 and then they walk away, and I know they do it on purpose. They put them like all at the bottom and like in a group, and they know that just annoys me. And so then I'm like, just get out of here. I'll finish this.
Well, no, but the fake one is so easy because we have a closet in the basement that like like we put it back but it opens, the lights are on it. It's seamless and it looks real. It really does. The good ones now. I mean, I remember when we were kids, my friends who had fake ones, it would be like that awful, those really fake looking ones. Yes. And they were difficult because you had to put them in like limb by limb.
Yes, I remember. I totally remember.
Or wait, it's probably branch by branch, not limb by limb.
You're crazy. Oh my god. I totally was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It didn't even like occur to me what you're saying. But I don't know, you're kind of selling me on the fake tree, just because doing the lights for me is always the part that I dread that. I hate that part.
I never did it. I always made my husband do the lights just because I don't do a good job. But I like exclusively decorate. My kids help me a little bit like your kids do. And then after 2, they get annoyed. And I end up moving them anyway because, like the important ones have to go in the front, and then ours is in front of the window. So the nonsense ones I tend to put on the back, like the filler ones, because yes, from the window it looks like you have ornaments, but nobody's going behind it to see.
Right.
So,
yeah. Of course. Same.
Decorating the tree. Oh, do you know what I once looked into? And I mean, this was like a Real Housewife move. A company that does it. Because do you ever see those pictures of the professionally done trees and how amazing they look? I mean, we all see it on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
They wanted like, I don't know, I think it was like $700. And my husband just like looked at me very like bewildered. He's like, what? He's like, but what about all of our ornaments that like we've collected? And like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like even if I were Lisa Vanderpump and probably had, millions of dollars to spend on that sort of thing, I feel like I would still want like a personal tree, right? Like you would want to have like the decorator tree, and then you would want to have the personal tree that has like the ornaments that your kids made when they were 4, and the personalized ones, the ones that mean something to you from trips you've taken or whatever. So somehow I feel like I would still get stuck decorating that tree.
Well, I'm sure you can hire people, but like it's part of the holiday spirit.
It is. It is. And I like to listen to my Christmas music, and my kids were giving me a real hard time because there's one song I really love, and I have 3 versions of it on the same playlist.
I would like to immediately know what it is.
It's called Pretty Paper by Willie Nelson. It was one that my mom always loved and still does.
Is it one that I'll know hear it, or is it like very rare?
I don't know. It's not one that is like a super common song, but then a lot of people have done it. So like the Lumineers have done it. Kenny Chesney has done it. Dolly Parton, who I love,
listen to country music, as we know, so I probably do know it. It's just not coming right. And I also like, I'm the person who has on the station in New York, it's 106.7, that only plays holiday music. That's me. You get in my car, you're listening to that until Christmas Day. Sorry, not sorry.
Love it. I'm the same way. I am exactly the same way. Because I always used to make, like in my 20s, back when you could make mix CDs. So I would always make a new one every year of Christmas music.
Stop aging us.
I know. I can't help it. And so now I have my kids doing a family Christmas playlist, which my son keeps taking 2 of the 3 versions of Pretty Paper off of.
Oh my God, I love it.
Okay, anyway, you guys, do let us know. We should actually do a poll on the membership site about what people's favorite Christmas songs are, or on the regular site, because I think everyone's got a strong opinion about that.
Yes.
Okay, so back to actual Real Housewife business. Potomac. The fight between Wendy and Mia happened this week. It was kind of, I'm really interested to hear kind of what you think about it.
So I feel like I want to use the word unbiased, because I like Mia and Wendy equally, in that like I don't dislike either of them. I don't stan either of them. Like I'm sort of like still deciding, but I have to say, from what I watched and my opinion, and people are very split on this, we've been seeing it all over the internet, Mia was looking for a fight, and I have heard rumors, guys, that, and I believe we posted a little something about this, that Giselle and Robin were pushing for Mia to make, so behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make an issue out of the Peter situation. And I think that their reactions kind of indicate, well, their reactions on camera, now you see them in the press trying to backpedal, but on camera, their reactions really clearly indicate that they were, pumping Mia up to do this. Like, in what world is it normal for Mia to be in Wendy's business about going into a business with Peter? Mia is not in business with Peter, right? Like, let's say he was one of her business partners. Maybe in some way it would be relevant. So why does Wendy need to speak with Mia about her business situation with Peter? And I know that Mia had this whole thing saying, like, Peter's family, he comes over. Okay, first of all, that was so clearly not true. They are very much acquaintances. I do not believe that they're close family friends, and that he's the first one who met her kid or whatever she tried to say. It was very clear to me that they know each other. And, you know, I appreciate me some Peter Thomas, but he is a thirsty turtle. And he very clearly is trying to insert himself into a storyline, and good for him. He wants the press for his businesses. I'm not hating him. I'm not hating on it. I get his angle. Also, on Two Teas in a Pod, Cynthia said that it was Peter who pushed her to be on Housewives. So that was a piece that we never knew. She just recently, a couple weeks ago, said that.
Yeah.
So that really makes sense. So my opinion on it, Mia had no business discussing this with Wendy, and especially not like when they're out to dinner. It was clearly her trying to have a storyline and a scene that revolved around her, and I believe that the Green-Eyed Bandits pushed her to do it or encouraged it at a minimum. I agree with Wendy. Like, Peter is not a close friend of Wendy's. He's not a family member. She's a married woman. He's a guy that she's acquainted with, that she had a conversation about possibly doing business. There is no reason in the world she would call him to say she's in Miami.
Yeah. She doesn't owe him anything. I agree with you on that. And it is the assumption of the other way, which is that I can't believe you didn't tell him, which that holds no water with me. Like, somebody that you might do a business deal, if you're on a girls' trip, I wouldn't reach out to that person. I'd be like, I'm on a girls' trip. No, you know, like that's.
I get Wendy's point, and I think that, let's say Peter was a woman. Let's say it was Cynthia that she was talking about going into business with, and she knew that Cynthia was in Miami, and she was on a girls' trip. I can almost see it making sense for her to reach out, right? Because it's another woman, they're on a girls' trip. But a married woman reaching out to a single guy while she's partying with a bunch of girls, they wouldn't be meeting up to talk business, to talk about opening a lounge. They'd be meeting up to drink and hang, and to Wendy's point, she's a married woman. Her and her husband don't operate like that. I don't think she would appreciate if Eddie were to go into business with Cynthia, say, and reached out to her while he was on a boys' trip and they went out drinking together and he was out drinking with another woman. So I totally get Wendy's point. Do I think that when Mia kept going and then Wendy made the comment, because before the drink was thrown, all Wendy said was, you listen, maybe you and your husband get down like that. Like, in other words, you call up guys, he calls up women. But in my marriage, it doesn't work like that. Was that a little bit, did it instigate it a little bit? Well, only if you're very defensive. Why so defensive, Mia?
I struggle on this one because, well, I don't struggle on this one. I think Mia's whole point of view is so strange. I don't blame her for getting mad at Wendy for insinuating what she did, right? Which is that she and her husband have a different kind of marriage. But I have a hard time sometimes with Wendy. I feel like she just kind of talks down to everybody and uses her education as a way to try to say that she's better than everybody. And it really bums me out because it would be amazing to have somebody who was very highly educated like that not throw that in everyone's face, but everyone would know it. You know what I mean? And like, it just bums me out that to have somebody who is like that and then who also acts like that, it just, it kind of takes her down a notch in my estimation overall, that she has kind of no modesty about it. And like I said, uses it as a tool to kind of, you know, make people feel less than, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is strange. And if Robin and Giselle, I would really hope that if they are behind this antagonization and the wanting to see Mia go for her, which I believe it could be, I at least hope that they were not encouraging the drink throwing or any kind of physicality.
I don't believe that they were. I think that Mia went there because she didn't know how to respond to Wendy. I mean, what she could have said, I mean, Mia should have just dropped it. She kept it going. Like, Wendy answered her question. She was like, why would I call another man? Like, stay out of my business. Like, about if I'm going into a business deal with Peter.
Right.
And Mia could have left it there, right? But I feel that either she wanted a big show that she knows would get her airtime, or she really did. Well, we know she wanted a show, which is why she brought it up and she made this nonsense storyline. I think that what she was also trying to point out, and what Giselle and Robin were pushing, which certainly wasn't that they wanted physicality or whatever. I think that they're trying to say that Wendy only had Peter on and talked about this lounge as a storyline for her, and she never had any intention of doing it, which I happen to believe is true.
Yeah.
But I think that Mia should have just said that. Like, she should have just been like, yeah, I get it. Fine. You don't want to call him. But the reality is, everybody knows you're not really doing a restaurant with him. Everybody knows you don't have the funds to do that. Everyone knows your husband isn't at all interested. Like, it's BS. And I get you don't want to break the fourth wall. So just say, you're just trying to look like a bigger deal than you are by leading us to believe that you could, because you see when Charisse says to him, oh, I want to open a champagne bar, Mia goes, oh, I would take her seriously because her checks will cash. So I get what they were going for. That was Robin and Giselle's whole thing, because Robin and Giselle, they don't like anyone to act like they have something big. Or we saw how they treated Wendy when she tried to come out with a candle line.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and I think that this is an important discussion, like, in general for us to have on the pod, is many of these women have the same opportunities, and some of them are much more successful at capitalizing on that. And as time goes and housewives see more housewives from other cities succeed, there's almost this thing where Giselle and Robin, as an example, want to put that down. Like, they know that maybe Wendy doesn't have the capital right now to do it, but because she's smart and because her husband's smart and they're a team, they could figure something out and they could try something that really does make them very wealthy.
Right.
And right. So I feel like these kind of storylines are always like kind of like haters squashing it. Like, they want to squash that. They want that to not even be a thing.
Right. Because I think what it is I can't think of, other than the podcast, what Giselle is doing outside of the show. And I think there's this feeling of like, if she's not on the show, then her, significant stream of income will end for her. And I think there's some insecurity about that. And that's why she is such a hater about the perfume and about the candles and about all of this other stuff. That's right. I think you're 100% right.
Rather than try to have a viable like business for yourself, you're kind of would rather spend your time squashing other people's hopes and dreams.
Right. Yeah. I mean, girl, channel that energy into doing something else and get yourself to a point where you can be in a truly take it or leave it position when it comes to doing the show.
And these women are approached with so many different things, right? And listen, I know this because as a Bravo fan account, I'm approached with different partnerships and various different things, right? So on a much higher level, they're approached with things. But the reality of it is outside of a sponsorship deal, right, where I'm dressing in something and posting a link, if I'm a housewife and I'm approached by, in the same way that Kelly Dodd, remember when she did that energy drink, she had the capital to put into it, okay? So these women have opportunities that come to them from the show. But if all you have is your salary from the show and you're paying your mortgage with that and everything, and you don't have the money to put into a business opportunity, you're kind of limited.
Right.
So, the people that go on these shows with a couple of, listen, if you're very wealthy, you don't need it. Right. And if you don't have any money, it's going to be harder. But if you have a few bucks and you go on a show like this, it provides you opportunities where you can really turn that few bucks into a real income where you no longer need the housewives. And we've seen it happen. We've seen many people be very successful outside of housewives. Look at the Summer House crew. Look at the Southern Charm crew. I mean, Craig and Paige are great examples of they really took those shows and they capitalized. Hannah Berner was only on a couple seasons, but she's been able, now they have an express deal. They have their gig league squad. They took this opportunity and, she went out with like a big scandal and everyone turned against her, but Homegirl's still making money. She really made a business. And I do think their generation has an advantage because they know how social media and all of that works. Both Hannah and Paige actually worked in I don't know if it was for Betches or social media, whatever. They worked
Hannah
in that world.
Yeah, she did.
And so there's so many opportunities. And to me, I know people have, and there are things that I don't like that Wendy does. I don't like when she acts like she's better than other people. Just because somebody like Karen, as an example, who is a different generation than Wendy, I didn't appreciate that whole I have degree. You know, different generations. Karen is a very smart woman. People can be smart without having, you know, PhDs. So I
Yeah.
don't appreciate that. But I do think that Wendy got on this platform as a way to make her family's stream of income for her kids and herself and her husband better. And I think if she did that, she would happily bow out. I don't think she's in it for the fame. I think she's in it for the opportunities it gives her in business. And there are some people who clearly are just in it because they like to be on television.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think they all, I don't know. I think, honestly, too, I just think ultimately, and I guess we wouldn't have a show if everybody did this, but, you know, it would be just nice to see people building each other up, especially when it comes to business ventures.
Right.
But again, we wouldn't have as good of a show if that were the case.
We said it last week. Heather had a small beauty lab, and now this has afforded her the opportunity to open a second, larger location. And when she
Yeah.
builds those two businesses, with or without Salt Lake City, she's going to have those businesses. So,
Yes, she is.
you know, but we did. So this is interesting. We got an email, and just to summarize, because we posted it about Under Fire, it basically said this Potomac housewife is under fire. She instigated the fight. She's the one who made it physical. We all saw how that worked out for Monique. She's trying to garner sympathy and hinting that she's stepping away. But in reality, she's just fearful that she won't be asked back. So she's trying to frame it like if she's not, that she left. Because she's also Mia. This is about Mia, obviously. She's not a fan favorite. Also, she had that whole nonsense about her health that she never addressed. And then she had some things saying her and her husband were locked out of all their business accounts.
Yeah.
Like, everything about her is fraudulent. I don't understand any of it. I don't know. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't be on the show, because if there's a storyline there, let's expose all this fraudulent stuff.
Yeah, Mia, despite this boss lady persona that she puts up, I question it, right? I question whether she's really in there in the books every month and really looking at all of that stuff, and I don't know. But again, we'll see what happens with her. And you know, that business, them being locked out of their business, that was a few weeks ago and not during filming. So
Right.
you know, maybe that didn't really happen. Maybe that's something that she's just doing for, you know, to try to stay on the show. So who knows?
But what a stupid thing to do.
Oh
Like,
my
why
gosh.
would all of your businesses be in your husband's cousin's name? That sounds, something's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. My son keeps texting me. I've got to tell him to stop. He's asking me for apps.
They don't stop.
All right. Okay.
All right, so I'll kick us off into the next scoop.
Thank you.
I think we covered Potomac. There's just so many ways to go, and I love Potomac. And whether I like the ladies or not, I think that they give us good television. So that's that.
Agreed.
On that. They can all stay, except Charisse. She can go. But we got some exclusive scoop regarding Tinsley, Amanda.
Yes. Which
I
is
mean,
a name we haven't been talking about lately. She kind of dropped off the map.
That's the point. I think that's why we're hearing about her. So what's really interesting is, you know, we're trying to get a sense of like what's going on with Legacy. And so Page Six reported saying, oh, the door's back open for Tinsley. And I got a similar email, which I initially posted yesterday, the day before, and then I took it down because my source was like, B, that is not true. She was supposed to be on the Ultimate Girls Trip, which we're going to see soon with Leah. She was going to be her, you know, other party.
Yeah.
And the reason that they cut her, and it wasn't her decision, it was the networks, is because she wasn't willing to discuss what happened with Scott. So she was engaged to Scott and they broke it off. And he was such a major storyline for her on, you know, New York when she was on. And also, like, what else do you have to share with us if you're not discussing that? Like, I'm sure Vicky would have preferred not to discuss getting dumped by Steve, but she did it.
Yeah.
So basically, she is out of the running for all things unless she decides. The only caveat would be, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, what else is new, would be if she, you know, says, yes, I will discuss it. I'll tell you all the gory details.
Okay, so is it possible that she can't talk about it? Like, could Scott have asked, could there be some sort of financial agreement or something where she said that she just can't talk about it? Or
I'm going to go ahead and assume that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, or I guess it could be so painful for her that she just can't, you know? Because, I mean, we obviously saw her have a lot emotionally invested into the egg retrieval and to doing into her wanting babies. And, maybe it could be that it's just so painful. She just can't. So
Right.
we'll see.
It could be either. I think what I heard was, and the source did not say she really wants to be back on, but they did say she really likes her name still being floated around and talked about. Like, she likes that. So I can tell you that tea on a holiday weekend is slow. So something tells me that if she phoned up Page Six and gave them a little whatever, they would print it because, hey, listen, you got to fill the column somehow. I get it.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, there's no way she could go on there and not talk about it, right? Even Luann on the first girls trip on that yacht. I mean, they were all asking Luann some very pointed and what I had to imagine to be very painful questions that Luann answered. And then you're right, Vicky did the same. And so there's no way Tinsley could go on and not do it and get away with not answering those kinds of questions. So
exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see. Okay, so then this week though, there was more. I mean, this Girardi story just keeps unfolding and unfolding. And, this week, everybody was talking about the earrings, right? The earrings were even, a character on this season of Beverly Hills. There was so much discussion about it and why Erica wouldn't give them back. And Ronald Richards, who we know he's the attorney who has a big social media following and seems to have it out for this situation. I think it's more than just him trying to put out information to the public. I think he's got some sort of personal issue with Erica because he is all over this all the time. But he put out this very interesting, and let's unpack it, post about the earrings, that she turned in the earrings, and we know that they're supposedly $750,000 earrings, which Erica said on the show they've been appraised at almost double that. She has now been believed to turn them over to the trustee for the bankruptcy months ago. And then if you want to share what he said in the tweet.
Yeah, so Ronald Richards, he tweeted, "Breaking, we can safely report that the earrings that Erica Girardi gave to the trustee are not the same earrings on the sales invoice, aka as the replacement earrings purchased through a tax fraud by Tom Girardi, where he falsely claimed the $750,000 check was a court cost." So he tweeted this, and the internet is like, what? Every account was like, wait, make this make sense. What the heck does this mean? So TMZ then reported that the $750,000 earrings were estimated at a much lower value and were only expected to actually be sold between $250,000 and $350,000. According to Ronald, there have been a number of inconsistencies in regards to the apparent burglary that occurred years ago, during which Erica and her estranged spouse claimed the original pair of earrings he purchased for the Beverly Hills Star were stolen. Here are the facts, Ronald said. Number one, Erica claims under oath she had a burglary in 2006. Number two, Tom claims to the Franchise Tax Board it was 2007. So now we're off on the years. Point three, Erica claims Tom bought her replacement earrings in 2007 under oath. Point four, the jeweler confirms this under oath. His invoice lists two 2004 GIA certificates tied to the earrings he sold. Ronald went on to further confirm that the earrings Erica turned over were not the same ones described on the invoice. Point number five, the earrings Erica ultimately turned over to the trustee are not the same earrings on the invoice. Point number six, the GIA certificates that were ordered in 2022 show they are not the same diamonds. Ronald says, Erica, please explain what happened. I am sure there is a good explanation. He then posts the actual physical receipts from the jeweler. Okay. I mean,
I didn't see that.
It's incredible. First of all, definitely it's some sort of public vendetta. I mean, he was even trying to purchase her home at some point, this attorney.
Yes. Legitimate offer. Yeah.
It's almost like he's obsessed with her. And I don't know if there's something that we don't know about, or if he's just out for justice because he's an attorney and he wants to see justice. I don't know. What I do know is that this this woman's life is a telenovela every week. I mean, it doesn't matter what anyone's opinion on her is. The network will never get rid of her. How could they? Who would give up? She's a cash cow. Her story is so interesting. And it's sad because it's like, obviously not the storyline she wants. And she has absolutely no choice but to go along with the show because it's her income now. It's just insane to like remember how she came on living high on the hog. And like, it was almost like she was doing the show as a hobby. And now all of this.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm still not 100% clear. Is what the implication is that, is what they're saying is that the earrings got stolen, then they got newer earrings that were less
No, what they're
expensive.
saying is they were never actually stolen and they're trying to like swap out lower valued earrings.
Okay. So they're saying
I mean,
the robbery that was announced that they claimed back in 2006 didn't really happen.
right. And maybe they were doing like an insurance claim kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these people do get robbed a lot.
Yes, they do. I mean, you mean just the Girardis or just all the housewives?
Just like all the housewives.
I know, they do. I was watching something where Erica Jane did this thing on Marie Claire about jewelry and was showing, like, she showed the Cartier ring. She showed these hoop earrings that have not been part of any of these discussions. And then she showed those big diamond studs. It's definitely check it out and look for it because she shows them and she talks about the robberies and I don't know. So you just can't help but wonder if, Erica was just taking a lot of this at face value. I don't know. It's who knows if any of us will ever know.
It's such a mixed bag for me. I don't believe she knew about any of the legal stuff and whatever Ponzi scheme he was running with clients. Do I think it's impossible to believe that Tom may have said to her, listen, babe, I can get away with this insurance claim right here. Just would I can see that. I don't think, I'm not saying she would rob from victims and burn and do all that Ponzi stuff. Do I think she's above a little insurance fraud? No. Certainly not.
I think we'll see. Okay, so since we're talking Beverly Hills, Andy confirmed this week what the cocktailers have known for a few weeks because we posted this just a while back saying that Beverly Hills will not be filming because, they usually film right around Thanksgiving through the holidays, but that they will be Andy confirmed that they will be taking a couple months to sort things out. And we got an email. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Subject: LVP is a no, but BG is a slight possibility. Vanderpump is not returning to Beverly Hills. Those rumors aren't true. However, Brandy, on the other hand, is eager to get back on TV, and producers are very interested to get her messy antics on the show. I think this is a fantastic idea for a few reasons. I think, one, we would see, and I know on the girls' trip, we saw like her acting very chaotic, but as a matter of fact, for Thanksgiving, she posted, apparently she was homesick, but she posted a picture of her sons, Leanne, and her ex-husband, Eddie, all together, and she said, happy Thanksgiving to my modern family. I'm homesick, so we weren't able to all be together, but I love you guys. And I think that when we left Brandy, obviously she was not in that place. I think it would be fantastic to see that evolution and even to see Leanne and Eddie on and just how, people talk a lot of smack about Brandy and we get what we see on the show. And obviously there's a lot of drinking on the show and all of that. But in real life, she has made amends with the woman who her husband cheated on her with, right? Who is the stepmother to her boys. And she did that because she's a mother who wants to be as involved with her boys as she can and recognized that if she was okay with Leanne, then she could be welcomed in. Hopefully, that's what she was hoping. And Leanne, did that. And so she pushed that aside for the betterment of her children. And I think that That would be fantastic to see. I think that she would bring the mess as well. I mean, could you imagine her and Lisa Rinna on a team together? Could you even imagine the mess those two could create?
Well, yeah, because I mean, neither of them are afraid to say whatever is on their minds. So I think Brandy is very endearing. I don't know why, but I just have always had kind of a special place in my heart for her. I would love to, I think she is great at bringing the mess and can bring the mess without any alcohol or any kind of substance. She talks about also liking to do pot on the show, right? So, maybe cut back on the drinks, but she's still so capable of bringing that messiness. And I am always really invested in watching her, and I'm always invested in cheering her on. And I would love to see her find, dates and look for love. And I think she would have a really interesting story, because I think for some reason, seeing her dating life feels more exciting to me than watching Sutton's dating life. Not that I don't like Sutton. I do like Sutton, but I just, I think with Brandy, it would be like fun and sexy, and seeing her like get ready for dates and, do all of that. So,
and Brandy isn't afraid to give us messy, and she isn't afraid to be raw and honest. And those make the best housewives. I agree with you. I find her endearing too. There are many moments where I cringe for her, but I feel like we always see her then cringe for herself and be like, I self-sabotage. I don't know why I do these things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of it too, I think, of why we find her endearing, because she admits her shit.
Right.
And yeah, so let's see it. I would love to see it.
So Amanda, you have a little deep dive for us this week.
Okay, I have a couple, actually. We'll start with Taylor. So I was scrolling on Instagram this week and found a couple of things that I thought would be really interesting to share with the cocktailers, because we know Taylor is on OC now. So she was on Ultimate Girls Trip, and then she was one of the OGs on Beverly Hills. So reading around, and I can't quite remember which account I was reading on, so I'm sorry guys, because I would tell you if I remembered. I was literally having some insomnia, so I was up in the middle of the night, which is why I didn't have like a notebook by me to like write it down, which is what I usually do. So this account was calling out Taylor Armstrong, who we know is now going to be on OC, for possibly being a con artist. So here are a couple of the things that I found interesting that I think, if me as a fan didn't know about this stuff, I thought maybe you guys might not know this either. So Taylor is not her real name. Her name that she was born with was Shanna Lynette Hughes. Before she got married, she also went by Shanna Taylor, Shanna Ford, and Taylor Ford. And apparently before she was married, to Russell, she would tell people that Ford, when she picked up that Ford last name, that had ties to the family who started Ford Motor Company. She is not actually from Oklahoma. She is from Kansas. She did go to high school in Oklahoma, though. So I guess on Watch What Happens Live, Andy asked her about her name change, and she said that Taylor was her maiden name, and that's what friends called her. But what's so funny is next to her yearbook picture, the name Shanna Hughes is there. And then this is where I'm like, where did my memory go on this? Because I don't remember this, but this is so juicy. So Taylor, back in one of the couple of seasons, and she was back on, Beverly Hills, had said that Adrienne Maloof is her daughter Kennedy's godmother, and that she has known Adrienne a long time. Well, then there is also footage of Adrienne saying, I've known Taylor for 3 years because our kids go to school together, but not saying like, oh, we've been good friends for a long time or any of that. And then there was also, I guess, a moment on the Beverly Hills reunion where Andy asks Adrienne about being Kennedy's godmother. And it is so awkward. All the looks and the little micro just reactions in this minute of TV is so good because when he asks that question, Taylor's face immediately cringes. And then the camera goes to Adrian, and Adrian like hesitates and says, well, Taylor has asked me to be the godmother, but that's a lot of responsibility that usually goes to someone in the family. I love Kennedy, but I'm not family.
Oh my God. Okay, so I don't remember any of this. And as
I
you're
don't
reading this,
either.
and neither of us are knowing about this, I also wanted to point out how much Bravo fan accounts have changed the landscape of Housewives. Because if this was current day, the fact that she changed her name would have been investigated by an account and immediately like called
Yeah.
out. And wow. Like,
Yes.
wow. That's all I can say. To me, I think, although I didn't know about the specifics, it does not surprise me in the least. From the very moment Taylor got on her screen, it was evident that she was a poser. She did not fit in. She didn't know anyone in this world, and her then husband were very much trying to be a part of the world. I think as the season played out, that became much more evident. So, yeah. Wow.
Interesting. It is so funny to
Thank
me
you.
exactly what you said, that this has all happened and we somehow missed it. So thank you to the Bravo
Yes, and if we
account that I was
yes,
looking at in the middle of the night. I'm so sorry. I can't remember which one it
we will
was.
figure out who it is and shout you out.
And my insomnia.
But that's the Adrian piece of it is wow. Because if you remember, I remember watching it and I didn't really know who Adrian was, but of course I knew like the Maloof name, and then we know that they owned, was it the Palm that they owned in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
owned the sports team, which again, I'm not a sports fan, but so I mean, I remember like being like, wow, of all of them, she really, to me, was like the mega bucks.
Yeah.
And so who does Taylor try to like attach herself to? And what better way? Like that is such an opportunistic thing to do, to
Right.
make your new rich friend your child's godparent, is such an obvious try hard move. Like,
Yes. Very manipulative.
of course, friends are often kids' godparents, so it doesn't necessarily have to be family. Like, we know that Dina is Teresa's daughter, but they were friends for 20 years. And not even that you have to be
Yes.
friends for 20 years, but like a college friend or whatever.
Yes.
With somebody you met a couple of years ago, you have one child. Now, if this was her fifth child, all right, you do run out of people, right? But
Yeah.
your one and only child, you ask somebody that you know through school for a couple of years, who just so happens to come from a billionaire family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fishy, fishy, fishy.
Very fishy. Anyway, I thought that was good juice. Okay, so I have another deep dive, but first I just wanted to update everybody because I said that we would look into it on that whole Tom Girardi, Donald Alway situation. So you'll remember that a couple weeks ago we talked about Donald Alway, who is the new head of the LA field office of the FBI, and that the FBI out of that office is investigating the whole Girardi Keese thing, and that Donald Alway's mother was Tom's secretary who had a rumored affair with Tom Girardi, and that Tom Girardi bought Alway's mother's house, paid a lot of the mortgage for it, and now Donald Alway, the son, is a half owner of this house. The articles all reported that the house was worth 1.2 million, which is what, raised a red flag for me, because I'm like, I don't think you can buy a shoebox.
By the way, so of course I went on Redfin and Zillow. I forget which one because I use them interchangeably.
Yes.
And you were right. You can't even buy like a shack. The cheapest thing I saw was legitimately like a shack with, I don't even know what the inside looked like because it was being sold as is. I believe it was listed as a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So it was on a very, very small piece of land, and it was listed at 1.4.
Yeah.
Everything else was like a small little thing was 3 million and higher.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you guys, like in Carmel by the Sea, if you're not familiar, if you haven't been, you should go. It's very quaint and very cute. It's also very exclusive. Most of the houses there don't have addresses. They just go by the name. So it's like Pink House by the Sea is a name, and there's no address. There's no street. It's just people just are like, okay, it's the pink house by the sea, and that's literally where the mail goes to. So the houses
because
all
it's
have
that
names.
exclusive, in other words.
It's that exclusive.
Right.
So yeah, so of course I did some digging. I found the house. It is a 2-bedroom. I don't even remember if it's 2-bath, but 2-bedroom, small, like 1,600 square foot. I mean, not tiny, but 1,600 square foot house. No, that was sold in 1985 for $425,000, and now Redfin estimates it to be worth $2.9 million. I'm like, that sounds about more right, because it's still a small house on a small piece of land, but still.
Right.
So anyway, thought you guys would want to know that.
Oh my gosh. I know I should stop being surprised, but I feel like we all still are surprised. It just keeps coming.
All I know is when all of this stuff gets settled, we need Mike White, who does The White Lotus, to do the TV show. And It's got to be a series. It can't be a movie. There's just way too much. And it needs to be like The Crown, right? Where it like starts back in the 80s. And then it goes to where he meets Erica. And then it goes into the future of like when they're living high off the hog. And we get to see like that, what that was like. And we see all the affairs and the jets and the 2 jets. And then we see Erica and we see her change. And okay,
I love
putting
shows
it out
in
there.
the 80s. You know, the Dirty John set in the 80s, which, by the way, this is so funny. The cocktailers are going to laugh when I say this. So we were posting about shows like that were worth watching or whatever, and someone said Dirty John, and I shared it, and I wrote, oh my God, especially the one with Kevin Bacon. And so followers are like, did you see this? I was like, what the heck? Which one was Kevin Bacon in? Someone writes, B, I think you mean Christian Slater. And I'm like, oh, right. But like to me, and I know they don't look alike, but they're like so interchangeable because they were famous like when I was little, like very young. Yeah. And I don't know, they were kind of, I don't know, famous around the same time. To me, they're interchangeable. And everyone, it was so, I don't know. I got a kick out of it. And a lot of cocktailers got a kick out of it too. But I love stuff set in the 80s. So I would love to see Erica in her 80s fashions and all that.
Yes, agreed. But it has to be like somebody like a Mike White, somebody who would do the show really well. Yes. So,
or whoever did Dirty John would be good too.
Yes, they would be good too. And I agree. Both the Dirty Johns were so good.
So guys, you're in for a treat because we have a third mini deep dive.
We do.
I have to tell you, I personally was outraged at that Balenciaga ad. I immediately so I looked on House and Habit, which if you guys don't follow, she does these very intense deep dives. To be fair, I don't even understand half of the stuff because it just goes that deep. I don't mean about this. I mean about her other ones because they get like very political and like honestly very creepy, and I don't even want to understand some of it. But this was so creepy. It was worse than creepy. It was deplorable. It was disturbing. This advertisement. And so like I just tweeted out like, I'm not sure which A-list star needs to hear this, but when are we going to condemn this ad campaign? Like Balenciaga, they all wear it. I mean, from Kim K to Dorit to Garcelle to Nicole Kidman. I mean, everybody's wearing Balenciaga and they do this disgusting, and you're going to get into it. Shout out to Lala and Justin Anderson, who are the only 2 celebrities I have seen address it. And Lala actually commented on my post and she was like, thank you for posting this. She posted a lot of her own stuff, as did Justin Anderson. The silence is deafening.
It is. It's insane to me. And we'll talk a little bit more about it because you guys, so I didn't know about it until B posted about it. And then I start to look into it and I'm like, what is this? This is so crazy. So I'm just going to explain it. And if you guys haven't, I think a good place to start is if you haven't looked it up, just Google Balenciaga ad. And then so you can kind of picture this in your head. And so you're going to want to look, there's 2 sets, which we'll talk about. But the first one we're going to talk about was their first holiday campaign for this year for 2022. It's disgusting, honestly. So Balenciaga they call it their holiday campaign, featuring their new line of bags, like purses, that look like demented teddy bears in S&M gear. Fine if you're an adult and you want to wear something like that. But in the ads are small children, like 6 to 8 years old. One of them
even younger, honestly.
Yeah, the one that I'm thinking of right now that I'm about to talk about.
Like
I mean, the girl's like 4.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, 4, maybe? I would say. I agree. This like little girl who's looks like about 4 lying
Not that an
face.
8-year-old makes it any more appropriate than a
No,
4-year-old,
it's just
by the way.
it's all just you just have to see it. One features a girl laying face down on the couch and she looks super out of it. And then she's surrounded by this room where it looks like either a party is about to take place or just did. There's champagne glasses, candles, and then like Balenciaga stuff kind of like laid out. And then there's also like a beanbag chair and like normal stuffed animals, but then there's the demented S&M bear bags.
So just there, that was disturbing for me. Just there, because we're going to go into like really, really sick shit. But just there, the fact that you have an ad campaign with, you know, toddlers and young children in an atmosphere that it looks like there was a bender is disturbing. And the kids look like drugged.
Yes. She's laying face down and out of it. Like no light in her eye. Like no engagement. Like her eyes are open, but
and
there's
her complexion
no
is almost like that gray look, like when a kid is sick or right.
So yes, that alone, disgusting, awful. I cannot imagine what parent would let their child even be in something like that. And then it's gross. It's gross. It gets worse. So another one shows a little girl standing in front of her Balenciaga branded bed. And then on the floor next to her feet are the Balenciaga S&M bear bag. Looks like a dog collar. So there's some stuff on there that I don't even know what it is. And it doesn't, let's just say that it doesn't look appropriate. Period. There's another one, the same girl from the first one that I mentioned. This time, though, she's standing on the couch, still with that like dead look in her eye. And in this one, there are papers on the table. And if you zoom in, the papers are a court case that has to do with child pornography.
What?
What in the actual serious fuck? So this campaign goes out. There's immediately backlash about it. So Balenciaga takes it down.
Which, side note, and like a million people who work in media, not a million, but a lot of people like messaged me and we saw them post publicly. A campaign of this magnitude needs to go through so many checkpoints that it is absolutely an impossibility that the higher ups at Balenciaga did not know about this.
Right. Now, maybe they didn't take a magnifying glass to look to see what those papers were about, but
bullshit.
100%.
Those things are all curated and looked over. Oh, yeah. And bullshit.
Oh, yeah. No, the people who created the whole shot all know. But I'm just saying, like, if it's like a higher up who's just looking, they might not have taken a
Right.
But regardless, it's disturbing without knowing what's on those papers.
Right.
Seeing that environment, seeing these kids who look drugged out, these bears they're demented looking. Like the eyes aren't matte. Like they look like they've been like beat up. Like one of the bears has this like lock around its neck that I guess one of the other ads shows a man with a key around his wrist. Like it's so many layers of fucked up without even knowing what's on those paper. So Balenciaga takes that down. Then they replace it with another quote unquote holiday campaign, apparently from the same creative director whose name is Demna Gvasalia. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. This is where it gets really nuts, right? Because like, okay, shame on you for the first thing. But then this next one, the new image is a man who is wearing an all black, like overstriped pinstripe suit and sunglasses. In the background, in this like office area is where he's standing. Looks like a diploma and then some books. So again, you would think because of the backlash of the first campaign, they would look really hard at what is in this room. Well, they didn't. Or maybe they did and they didn't give a shit, because the person's name on the diploma is John Philip Fisher. And who is that, you would ask? Well, John Fisher is an 80-year-old man who is accused of sexually abusing his granddaughter for years, starting when she was 4 years old. And why in the absolute freaking world would this be a name that you would glorify by putting it on visible diploma in a Balenciaga ad?
And I would like to say, if you go to Kim Kardashian, That evening, so this is all happening, and that evening, Kim Kardashian posted a TikTok to a song, I Don't Care, and she was dancing around, and apparently, I don't really know what Balenciaga sweatsuits look like because obviously I don't own any, but apparently she was wearing a Balenciaga sweatsuit. So, like,
Yeah.
that can't be a coincidence. She has not spoken out. None of these stars, now, this is all going on for days at the time of this recording right now. Nobody has spoken out. If you go to Kim's, because everyone's calling on Kim because she's basically, I don't know if she's the official spokesperson, but she wears it all the time. She's always in their ads. I think she's headlining one of their advertisements. People
Yeah.
are writing, we don't want to hear about what skims you're dropping. We want you to speak out about Balenciaga. My feeling is this has to hurt her financially. I mean, why is she not speaking out?
What amount of money? I can't imagine, though, that there could be any amount of money that a fashion house would pay her that she couldn't walk away from.
Right.
She's a billionaire. Like,
Right.
even if they're paying her $20 million.
Unless somehow she's tied into their stock and their whatever, like, unless they made her like an owner behind the scenes. And even still, I don't give a shit. You have how many kids? 4?
And you guys, I don't know if you'll remember she has 4, yeah. A couple years ago when she wore that thing and it had the mask all the way up, right? And she was like completely covered. A lot of their fashion has these like latex face cover mask things where there's only a hole like for the mouth. Like if you start to look at all of it, it just makes my stomach.
And you know what? If an adult wants to dress themselves like that, although I don't find it fashionable, that's their absolute business. You're of age, you're consenting, whatever.
Yes.
This ad campaign was disturbing just seeing those images, compounded with what we now know about the documents that were there and the diploma from a grandfather who was a child molester. It is disgusting. It is deplorable. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, and I don't even want to get into that, but I want to say that something is really freaking wrong that nobody is speaking out about this.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say too. Like, the reason we're using the words conspiracy theory is there's all this other stuff, and you're welcome to kind of Google it, stuff about the books in the background. Like, it just look it up, but it really makes me feel ill, and I cannot understand the absolute silence from so many people. Like Garcelle, you wore it very Wendy has worn it. Like, just come out and say, like, I will no longer be wearing Balenciaga.
Right.
That is so much better than this just absolutely nothing being said silence. It's nuts.
It makes my stomach absolutely sick. I know it makes every one of us are sick over this. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand. I really hope that somebody speaks out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think cancel culture, there's a whole thing about it. But I'm sorry, I cannot. Companies that allow this to go on, whether or not they knew, like, they need to be canceled. You can't be having any kind of subtext that is hinting at any kind of child abuse. It's just disgusting and wrong. And I don't give a crap who looked at it, who approved it, who whatever. Like, you're all responsible for it. And this is in your company's name, and it's disgusting.
And I think that they should be canceled.
Yes. 100%.
I mean, I don't even know, like, legally, can the brand, like, glorifying pedophilia, is that not illegal? Because if it's not, it should be.
I would imagine it is. I mean,
what they're going to do
I
is
don't know.
Which we got an email. We posted it for our cocktail party. I won't even go into specifics, but if you're a cocktailer, you'll see that email and you'll know what I'm talking about. But all that ever happens with things is they just fire somebody. But, like, no, there's more than one person that should be accountable for this, and the brand should have to be accountable for this.
Well, and this creative mind, this creative director, like,
this
I feel like the FBI needs to be looking into what this guy's doing, because anyway. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for this week. But
I'm sorry to end on such an angry note, but we're angry about it.
Yeah, and everyone should be angry about this. Like, if our kids are not being protected and this kind of shit is being glorified, like, all of our children are in danger.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that's all I think we have this week. But thanks again, you guys, for those of you who have joined or who are planning on joining the Cocktail Party crew, we are starting to have a lot of fun over there, and we just appreciate this community that you guys are so willing to jump into with us.
We really do. And as time goes, we're going to be putting more and more stuff there now that we're live. We hope you guys are enjoying the community where we can chat back and forth. I plan on hopping over there more so this week because, we just went live. So I look forward to chatting with all of you guys. And thanks for tuning in. Till next time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Just want to ask you guys a favor, just getting kicked off. So many people have been asking us to do this podcast. So please do subscribe. And if you've subscribed, go to your podcast app and hit those 3 little dots to share with your friends, but only friends who like good tea, because the ones who don't care about tea, then forget them. And don't forget, find us on Instagram at bravoandcocktails_. And check out the website because some great tea gets put there daily that would get us kicked off of Instagram. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next time.